Hello there. I am someone and you are someone else. And today we're going to be talking about an ideology called self-defeatism. Now, why do I consider myself a self-defeatist? Okay? See, when you're like me and the things that you like, the things that you idealize, right? The people you idealize with are completely different from most people, right? Um, like I idealize Thomas Sowell for his economics works. I idolize John Bogle for his economics on mutual funds. Um, I talk about Charlie Munger for his value investing approach. All of these 30 guys have inspired me in some ways about the mathematics of the real world, in some sense, financially anyway, the finance of the real world. But you know, there are other people who are in real life I've met in real life that have influenced me as well. But like when you think about it, right? Those are the three guys you should be listening to that are like the least controversial, right? There's almost no disputable fact. Like there's nobody disputing them because nobody knows about them, right? But they're so smart, right? Charlie Munger, such a smart guy, right? Despite him controversially investing in China, which, okay, I mean, I would probably stay invested in the US. Having a 30-year portfolio in China seems a bit risky, but still, I mean, he did it. He took the risk. And while, yes, the media should not be praising him for investing in China, he's just a random guy. In my opinion, Charlie Munger's becoming more and more just a random guy on the sideline because his money, it's hard to compound your money at higher and higher amounts, right? So you can't follow what Charlie's doing and just assume you're going to make the same return. Like he might have other deals in the background too. Being a multi-billionaire, although what you see in his thing is just three or four stocks. So of course that's probably wrong. But anyway, that's besides the point, right? These people that I value, right? These libertarians, these free thinkers, sort of, right, with their ideals on free trade and less taxation and having a wealthy middle class and valuing individualism and actually owning the things that you buy, like your home and the stocks, and not getting taxed on them. I guess you tax the income, but still, that's like the government owning it. Or, they tax the land you live on. Well, then you're not owning, you're just renting it from the state. Technically, you don't own anything. And as a libertarian, you must accept defeat because no matter which political party is coming in, all it wants is more power. And you must accept that in the United States. Now, am I saying that the United States is a bad country? No. It's not a bad country. Every country does the same thing. They all want more power. Whether you're talking about New Zealand, which is one of the least powerful countries, even within its borders, or you're talking about the United States, or let's say China, which is very influential inside of its borders and has almost no information flowing inside of it. You think about it, that's every goal of every government is basically they get tax revenue and they don't really care where it comes from, and they spend it and they don't really care how they spend it all that much. And NASA is a great example of something that we achieved with tax dollars. You can achieve something with tax dollars. Am I saying you can't? No, you absolutely could. Economically, it's possible, but the quality of things become less and less over time once the government stops caring. And there has to be a way for the government to be the first party, not the third party. And that is a issue that many people they think of the government as a third party, and it becomes this toxic relationship of this take. There's no incentive to have a hedge fund, to invest it, and so that's what happened in Venezuela, and that's what's gonna happen in the United States. What happened in Venezuela could very well happen to the United States because we're not seeing an incentive to save the money and invest it wisely. We're seeing an incentive to take as much of it as a politicians to take as much money as possible. There's no incentive to keep it, the money, the tax dollars invested. So I'm starting to see that, and it is the economics of this place. We must accept, like, the Republicans and the Democrats will not save us, right? It's pretty obvious, though. Republicans don't are too lazy to do anything, and the Democrats want to push more for more government. So every time a Republican comes in, the Democrats gain more power, and every time the Democrats come in, they maintain that level of power because they're already so power hungry and people will resist them. So it's like that's kind of the way the system works. Republicans are meant to distill the power of the people, and then the Democrats are made to make sure that power is maintained, make sure that's normalized. So eventually, we are going to get a system where everything becomes normalized at a certain level of control where you're starting to feel uncomfortable and that you don't own anything. You don't own the land you live on, which in my case, I absolutely never owned any land in the first place. So, or, you're working at a job and 40 to 50% of it goes to the government, and 70% of that 50% goes straight to other people who are welfare bums or like high schools or whatever. Like they go to other things, and they don't. The problem is we print, we borrow, and we tax, and then we pay for. And then other generations are gonna have to pay for that inflation and those debt. And so I'm only paying a chunk of it. I'm realizing now if I have a U.S. kid, like let's say I have a child, right? And this child becomes a U.S. citizen because hypothetically, that's what would happen. I would basically have a kid, and it would be a U.S. citizen, if it was born here, or if I passed on its U.S. citizenship from me to that kid. They would have to pay 200 grand over their life. They would immediately have 200 grand in debt as a U.S. citizen, regardless of what other country the woman's from, or if they had an American citizenship at birth, they would have to pay $200,000 over the course of their lifetime, technically. But that's their negative 200 technically when they're born, right? That's a scary number, and people don't seem to realize that number means something. It's a very meaningful number. And the national debt, well, paying it off is going to be sacrificing. People are going to have to be poorer. They're going to have to think in a rich mindset. They're going to have to think, oh, I need to sacrifice 10 more hours so I can invest more money, more of my time, so I could save my government. And people aren't going to think about that anymore. They're so like, I want to live a luxurious lifestyle that there's going to be more people consuming or more parasites off of society than there are producers. And so what you're going to have is a political system based on the parasites, not the producers. And then you're going to have a total economic collapse of the United States. As you tax more and more rich people and they leave the country and then they trade off their U.S. citizenship so they can't be taxed anymore, all you're going to have left is poor people and politicians. And that's what you see in California. You're starting to see basically people who support, who are welfare, and you have politicians. Pretty much California is all a public economy, I would say. It's like 70% public. Once you get over 50%, I consider you mostly a socialist country. The United States is becoming it's 48% right now public, but it will become over 50%. When it does, it will be no longer considered a free market economy. It will be more considered a socialist economy, where a third party doesn't care all that much about how the money is spent. And anytime you have government involved, most of the time, unless it's at a super local level, it doesn't care about how the money's spent. And you can totally see how these elitist government officials, they don't care about you. And as a libertarian, you must understand that they will always be in power. And even though you can vote libertarian, and you might be able to, although two of the libertarian parties have been de-established in the United States, there's nothing you can do. Just accept political defeat and accept your enslavement. You must accept your enslavement. You cannot do anything. And if you accept that, and you accept that you're already a loser from the very beginning, even when you were born, and you accept that all the people you're going to date are basically more losers than you are, then you start to realize just how weak and pathetic the average human being is. Okay? I don't care. And that's the thing. People are like, why don't you date? Because the average girl is a loser. Okay, just like me. And I don't care what they think. Right? If I start going off on tangents and they don't like me, then why should I be with them? Come on. Right? It's just like, that's the way it is. Okay? Anyway, you are someone and I'm someone else. I'm here to explain basically why you must accept defeatism. You must accept this ideological gear in your head. It might be depressing. It might be. You have to find happiness, though. You have to enjoy the decline. As Aaron Clare would say, although I wouldn't trust Aaron Clare totally with everything, but, enjoy the decline. Enjoy thinking about how you can mess with these people. Anyway, goodbye.